Hello and welcome to one of our TLDR Explains videos. In today's video we're going to be talking about the new independent group that's established itself in Parliament. I know this happened over a week ago, but everything was moving so fast we decided to put up an article on our website and wait till the dust settled before making a video. Considering the time it takes to make a video, articles are quicker than chucking out half-formed videos every day or so. If you missed the article, that's probably because you aren't following us across our social accounts. We have Twitter, Facebook, Patreon and Instagram, so follow us on all of those by searching TLDR News and make sure you don't miss out on our articles when they're posted. So what exactly happened? Well, just over a week ago, on Monday 18th of February, 7 Labour MPs resigned from their party to form this new independent group. They were Chuka Umunna, Anne Coffey, Gavin Shuker, Mike Gapes, Angela Smith, Chris Leslie and Luciana Berger. This had been a long time coming, and most of these MPs had been vocal critics of Jeremy Corbyn way before their official resignation. There were 3 main reasons for the split. They think that the Labour Party is too left-wing, they think that the Labour Party has become anti-Semitic, and they believe that Labour isn't pro-EU enough. Basically, they didn't like that Jeremy Corbyn refused to back a second referendum. So let's have a look at those reasons. 5 of the 7 members of the independent group supported Liz Kendall, the inverted commas Blairite candidate, in the 2015 leadership election, and none of them backed Jeremy Corbyn. It's no surprise then that this Labour Party is a bit too left-wing for them. In fact, Anne Coffey actually tabled the vote of no confidence in Jeremy Corbyn's leadership back in 2016. However, they weren't just worried about John McDonnell and Jeremy Corbyn. They thought that the Labour membership and internal party structure had been hijacked by far-left activists, like Momentum. Before we open a whole can of worms about whether or not Momentum counts as far-left, we're just reporting on how the independent MPs feel. Anyway, this is important, because if they were just concerned about leadership, it wouldn't have made much sense for them to leave the party. They could have just waited until the next leadership contest, and then fought their brand of centre-left politics then. However, they think that because the party as a whole has been hijacked by the far left, there's no chance of a fair fight in the next leadership election, so they've been forced into making a new group. That's another thing, the independent group isn't actually a political party yet, it's a company, because that makes it easier for other MPs to join. On to the second reason, anti-Semitism. The Labour Party and Jeremy Corbyn personally have been plagued by allegations of anti-Semitism for months now. And the independent MPs, most notably Luciana Berger, don't think enough has been done about it. In case you don't know, Luciana Berger is a Jewish MP for the constituency of Liverpool-Wavertree. In 2018, she criticised Corbyn over comments he made about a mural depicting Jewish bankers, and has since been the subject of anti-Semitic abuse from within the Labour Party. Local Labour Party members submitted 2 motions of no confidence in Berger on the 7th of February, which she claims were motivated by anti-Semitism, and soon after she quit the party. The 8th Labour MP to join the group, Joan Ryan, also cited institutional anti-Semitism as the main reason for her resignation. Again, another qualifier coming up. We aren't saying that the Labour Party or anyone in it are anti-Semitic, we're just explaining how these MPs feel. On to the last reason, the EU. And before we get into this, it's time to have a quick look at the 3 ex-Conservative members who resigned on the 20th of February to join the independent group. Sarah Wollaston, Heidi Allen and Anna Soubry. We're going to get into more detail about the reasons for them leaving in a second, but it's worth noting that they're all pro-EU, and that they all back a second referendum. This is the common thread that binds all of the MPs in the independent group. They're pro-EU and back a second referendum. The ex-Labour MPs are dissatisfied with Corbyn's position on the EU and hoped that he would back a second referendum. Given that nearly half of the country supported remaining in the EU, it seems to make sense to have a political group in Parliament that shares that opinion. Alright, so that's why ex-Labour MPs split away from their party. Apart from Brexit, why did Sarah Wollaston, Heidi Allen and Anna Soubry leave the Conservatives? Well, it's worth noting that Wollaston and Allen were sort of semi-detached Conservatives already. They only became MPs in 2010 and 2015 respectively, and were renownedly rebellious, even when they were in the Conservative Party. However, Anna Soubry is the more interesting case. She's been a member of the Conservative Party since 1975, and has held ministerial positions. So what made them resign? Well, as I've mentioned, it's partly that they all want a second referendum. but they've also expressed worries about the far right hijacking the Conservative Party. According to them, the European Research Group, or ERG, the Eurosceptic faction of the Conservative Party, made up of about 80 MPs, has too much leverage over the party. With the help of the DUP, they've pushed Theresa May into pursuing a hard Brexit, risking a no deal, and aligning herself with right-wing politics generally. According to them, the Conservative Party has become some sort of UKIP light, or BlueKIP. Anna Salisbury talks about the blatant entryism of UKIP activists, and a purple movement sweeping the Conservative Party. So that explains why people have joined the independent group. It's basically Labour MPs who are worried about the far left, and Conservative MPs who are worried about the far right. And they're all worried about Brexit. Lots of people have been making historical comparisons to the Gang of Four. 4 MPs who left the Labour Party in 1981 for remarkably similar reasons to those given by the current group. Bill Rogers, Shirley Williams, Roy Jenkins and David Owen left the Labour Party in 1981, after a January conference in which the party committed to leaving the European Economic Community and nuclear disarmament. They claim that the party had drifted too far left under Michael Foot, its then leader, and had been infiltrated by local level and far left activists. Sounds pretty familiar, doesn't it? The Gang of Four created the Social Democratic Party, or SDP, and were joined by 28 Labour MPs and 1 Conservative MP. As you might already know, the SDP eventually merged with the Liberal Party in 1981 to become the Liberal Democrats. However, there are some notable differences. While only 2 of the Gang of Four were actually MPs at the time, they were some of the biggest names in British politics. Shirley Williams had been the Home Secretary and had pushed for comprehensive school reform while advocating for a ban on grammar schools. Roy Jenkins had been the Chancellor of the Exchequer and was at the time the sitting President of the European Commission. Jenkins had been a big name in politics and had served as Home Secretary under Harold Wilson in the 1960s, using his position to allow private members' bills, legalising abortion, legalising homosexuality, abolishing the death penalty, making divorce easier, and relaxing censorship legislation. Even those who were no longer MPs still had a lot of clout. David Owen had been Foreign Secretary, and Bill Rogers had been Defence Minister. While the independent group of MPs are pretty well known, they're not as senior as the Gang of Four were, and none of the ex-Labour MPs have held ministerial positions, only minor shadow cabinet roles. In fact, only Anna Salisbury has any cabinet experience, with a brief stint as Secretary of State for Small Business under David Cameron. So while there's some glaring similarities, there are also some pretty big differences. This is interesting because of the effect that the SDP had on the next election in 1983. While they only won 23 seats, they managed to get 25.4% of the vote, and this had a massive impact on the Labour Party, who received 27.6% of the vote, nearly 10% less than the 37% that they got in the previous election in 1979. This allowed Margaret Thatcher's Conservative Party to take 397 seats in Parliament with 42.4% of the votes, slightly less than the 43.9% of the votes she got in 1979, but 38 more seats. This is because of how the UK's first-past-the-post voting system works. The SDP took more Labour voters than Conservative voters, and this meant that the Conservatives won more seats. If you want us to make a video about the rather broken first-past-the-post system, then let us know by liking this video and commenting down below. So people think that the Independent Party might do the same thing this time round, split the Labour vote and give the Conservatives an easy electoral win at the next general election. One of the other core questions is if the MPs in this independent group need to stand for a by-election. We discuss the arguments on both sides and whether they legally have to in another video. You can find that video at tldrnews.co.uk/by-election. If you don't want to type that in, there's a link in the description. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Also, be sure to follow us across all of the social networks by searching TLDR News. That way you can ensure that you never miss another article or another one of our videos.